Hey folks, Nerdy Barbarian here. Just a quick little mod video today. I know this is going to be a pretty simple one for a lot of you, but not everyone has done this. A lot of people have never even had the guts to take apart one of their knives before, especially if it's a nice knife and it's expensive for them. Like, these are not cheap knives. A Spyderco Smock, this one's pretty heavily modified. EMPEDC Relative. I've got a video on this one, not on this one yet. So I'm going to link that one up here in the corner, but yeah, they're not cheap, so sometimes people are a little trepidatious to tear into these. So I'm just going to walk you through how to do it in case you've never done this, or maybe you're just bored and want something to zone out to while you hit the old Benjamin. So here we go, let's do this. I'm going to show you the action of these beforehand, and then we're going to go through the process of putting in the Skiff bearings, and then I'll show you the action afterwards. We'll see what kind of improvement we got. Normally I see a pretty decent improvement from Skiffs, even on high-end knives. So on these, like, well, these are still kind of expensive knives, but I mean, I'm talking like upper 3 digits, 4-digit range knives. Even some of those see improvements with these. So a $300 knife, $200 knife, I'm expecting to see some good results here. So here we go. Here's the EMP right now beforehand. See, it doesn't drop super clean. Once I get it off the detent ramp, I can shake it quite a bit before it goes home. It's got a nice, pleasant, smooth action, but it's not slick. If I get it off the detent and I shake it hard, I can send it home. But what we'd really like to see ideally is, I mean, if I get it here, I'd like it to drop on its own. But it may have a little too much pressure from the lock bar and the detent ball on the tang, and there's some things we can do about that. But I'm gonna leave that alone for this video. I'm just gonna test the bearings. I'm gonna put the Skiffs in and see what it does compared to this. I'm not gonna mess with the lock bar. All right, here's the Spyderco. If you hold the button in long enough, it'll swing all the way home. There's really nothing wrong with this action. That's fine. You can work the button with the side of your thumb. But if I get it off, it's fairly stiff. If I don't ride the button home all the way, it's not the slickest thing in the world. See, I don't know if the Skiffs are going to make a huge difference in this case or not, but they were cheap and I was already ordering some for this. I just ordered 2 sets. They use the same size bearings, 3/16 by 12 by 1/16 inch. So if you have a knife and you're wondering if Skiff has an application, you can measure your bearings and go buy the right ones, or they've got a big cheat sheet on their website that lists what bearings they know work with different applications. So you check that list, see if your knife's on there. That'll give us a baseline. So let's dig into this. I'm gonna do the EMP first because I'm most curious about it. Also, it's made better and it'll go back together pretty easily. This knife's a nightmare to get centered sometimes, and even when it did, yeah, it's probably not perfect. It's pretty close though. This is as close as I've been able to get it. That's pretty good. It's not bad. But I'm kind of worried that when I tear this apart and replace the bearings, it's going to be not centered again, because I fought with this thing the entire time I've owned it, and the other 2 Smocks I owned in the past had the exact same problem, so we'll see. But I'm going to start here. This is the one I was really excited about, so let's get going. All we need for this is a T8. It's got a captive pivot, so we only need 1 tool. Alright, here you can see what we're working with. These are the pretty typical low-end, I guess, brass. I don't think it's phosphor bronze. I think these are just brass cage ceramic bearings. These work fine. You see these on most knives, from Civivi, $40 or $50 Civivis, all the way up to, I mean, $300, $400 knives. I mean, they work okay. Not the slickest thing in the world. Not fancy looking, but they're fine. But hopefully we're going to see an improvement when we put these bougie-ass bearings in there. It's not very dirty, so I'm not going to bother cleaning it up a bunch. I'm just going to drop these in, put a drop of oil on it, and screw it back together. Wrong! Get a look at those. These just look and feel very high quality, and they are. And we have more ball bearings than we do with these, so this will also improve lateral stability, though this knife didn't really have a problem with that before, but this would help tighten that up, theoretically. So let's slap these in. They're the same on either side, like most bearings. These don't look the same on either side because one side's open and one's closed. But even these, it doesn't matter which way you put them in. Just drop that on. Okay, we got a problem. I'm going to double check that cheat sheet and I'm going to post that in right here. But I'm pretty sure it said that this was the size that fit, 3/16 inch by 12 by 1/16 inch.
That's because you're stupid.
So a 3/16 inch pivot hole, 12 ball count, 1/16 inch ball size. Pretty sure that's what it said to use for the EMP Relative.
Approximately 10 hours later.
I think the problem here is that what I did is, here, if you search Smock, we get the 3/16 12 ball bearings, 1/16 inch ball size. I think I accidentally ordered two sets of the Smock ones because the Relative uses 5mm holes. Same ball count, same ball size, but 5mm, a little bit bigger hole. So I ordered the wrong bearings. It was not their fault, it was my fault. Alright, through the magic of editing, I traveled through time and came up with some Skiff bearings that are supposed to fit this thing this time. I actually read what I was supposed to do. Are you proud of me? Luckily, I film ahead of the time. I've got a few videos in the pipeline at any one time waiting to come out on the schedule, so I had time to catch this one before it came out. So I'm going to put these bearings in and splice it into the video and re-upload it. I really want to see what a difference this makes, and I think it'll be more impactful if I do it in the same video. I'm gonna put this in real quick. Look, they fit this time, hooray! Honestly, not sure. Doesn't feel dramatically different. At least from what I can remember. Again, it's been several days for me. Wonder if I can loosen it a little more. Nope, goes out of center if I do. Looks like that's about where it wants to be tension-wise. I don't know, guys. I'm not sure that made a huge difference. Some knives it does and some it doesn't. I bet it's this lock bar tension. I bet this has just got a little too much tension on it. Well, we've seen what the bearings do. I mean, I can flick it down with one shake, but I was kind of hoping it would fall a little ways. But it's a one shaker. Could be worse. That might be better. I really don't remember. I'm gonna have to check the footage. But I'm gonna tear this apart and I'm gonna tweak that lock bar while I'm here. Oh yeah. I mean, I just barely have to shake it now. I'm very gentle now. I had to give it a pretty moderate shake earlier, but now I just barely dip it and it's going home. No blade play, no lock rock. It wasn't locking up super late to begin with. I just took a little bit off of that lock bar. And it made a world of difference, as it often does. If you're not happy with the action of a frame lock knife, and you're not scared, give that a try. You might be surprised how much difference that makes, but be careful, don't go too light, or your lock might fail. Looks like this one's alright. And if you go too light and you get lock rock, you're gonna have to add some back in. And also, if you break your shit, don't blame me. Well, the Skiffs didn't do much on their own, but it looks like our bearings weren't really the bottleneck in our action in this knife. It was the lock bar tension, so easy enough to fix, as long as you can get the stop out of the way. The lock bar insert, in this case, it comes out really easy, so that was nice. Happy with this now. Not that I wasn't before, but that's an improvement. So I'm just gonna throw this in the trash. Just kidding, I'll put it back together later. And let's move on to the Spyderco. In case you're curious, I acid etched and stonewashed this blade, and these are sharp dressed knives, micarta scales with some oil rubbed into them, aftermarket titanium clip, brass backspacer. Let's see if this upgrade does anything that we can feel here. That is a T8. I need a T10. I've only had 3 cups of coffee today, I'm sorry. Okay, looks like the back one didn't move. And if you're wondering why, it's because both of these will spin and you can tighten one more than the other and like change how the blade is centered in there, and it's a stupid nightmare and I don't want to mess with it. So hopefully this one will just stay where it is and I can just snug that screw up and my blade will go back where it was. Hopefully. We shall see. And that looks like a T6. Yep. One of the sins of knife design. If you haven't already, check out my video up here all about the sins of knife design. our scale, and then our liner is here. We need to pull that off. Alright. And this does have a phosphor bronze bearing. This isn't actually a pretty high quality bearing. I give Spyderco a hard time a lot, and they deserve it, really. But yeah, I don't really have any complaints with those. I kind of doubt we're going to see any real improvement. Looks like the ball bearings on these skiffs are smaller, so maybe that'll change how they roll. And there is more of them, obviously. Yep, those fit on there just fine. I'm going to put just a drop of KPL original on there. Maybe 2 drops. 2 shots of vodka.
2 shots of vodka?
Make sure our pin stays in there. That's loose, so it'll come out if you're taking your smock apart. Be careful of that. Also, another thing, this does not have, my smock does not have the spring and second detent ball installed, because it makes it a lot slicker without it, so I took that out. If you're taking yours apart and it's stock, there will be a spring and a little ball there. Make sure those go back in the right spot, or, I mean, alternatively, you could just remove them. Although I have seen that affect blade centering also, since it does apply a small amount of force. These really are just kind of a nightmare to center up. It's just not really a modern design, in my opinion. I'm gonna put the liner on, make sure that goes down all the way. And then do not forget this. This is what stops the lock bar from being able to flex up when you press up and down on the blade. If this isn't in there, or if this is loose, or it doesn't fit right, the blade will have lock rock. Make sure that goes back in. And it is D-shaped, so it will only go in one way. Okay, and then I'm going to put the scale screws back in first. Don't tighten anything until you get everything started. I'm going to start the pivot. I'm going to put a fresh dab of Loctite on there, because I really do not want the smock pivot to move, because if it moves a tiny bit, you've got blade play, you've got lock rock, you've got a bad action, you've got an off-centered blade. So Loctite the pivot on your smock for sure. Both screws. Also be careful not to put too much torque on these. Don't use a huge driver or anything, because these screws are small. The head's big, but the shank is still just a T8, so do not go crazy on this. I have broken one of these before, and then you have to wait a couple weeks for Spyderco to send you another one. I'm just going to go until I start feeling resistance. And now I'm going to tighten up the screws on the scales. Again, small driver, not a ton of pressure. I really probably wouldn't even use Loctite on these because they're T6s, and if these things fight you at all, they can be very problematic. They can round off your bits, they can snap. They really shouldn't be on a knife at all. So don't go crazy on these. And if you use Loctite, use it sparingly, and remember you may have to use heat to get it off. No blade play. Got lock rock. Why do I have lock rock? It's that stop bar rattling in there. Yep, that's what's causing my lock rock. In my case, these aftermarket scales are not made properly. I talked to the manufacturer about this, and he was very nice about it, and he made me a new set and sent them, but it didn't look like he changed anything. Let me just show you what's going on with that while I've got you here. When you apply up and down pressure on the blade, like if you were using it, or you got it stuck in something and you're wiggling it up and down and the blade was pressing down, the downward pressure of the blade pushes up on the lock bar, so it needs something above it to keep it secure, to keep it from moving, which is this little pin that we were just talking about. This little stop pin. It needs to sit in there just right so it doesn't move. If it's not long enough to engage both the back liner, right here, and the front liner in this little hole, if it's only in one or the other, it will wiggle when it gets the lock bar pressed into it, and you will get lock rock. These aftermarket scales on these new CQI upgraded pivot screw design models have got this little indentation here. Can you see that? It's right there. It's like a vestigial feature of the original Smock design. Maybe the pin was longer in that model, so they had a recess in the scale. But the new model, the factory scales, do not have this recess. These are the factory CQI scales. As you can see, no recess cut in here. It's just flat. That's where that pin would go. Let's sit right there. And on the aftermarket, he's milled in this little recess, which allows the pin to walk out into the recess through the hole in the liner on the show side. When it walks out through that hole, it walks out of the hole on the back liner, which allows it to flex up and down, and you get lock rock. So, he told me he was redesigning these. I sent him pictures of it, and I told him about this problem, and he was like, okay, thanks for the pictures, I'll redesign them, I'll send you some new ones. I got these in, and I've still got the same problem, so I don't know what to do about it. Maybe he'll see this video, maybe he'll fix it, I don't know. But the only real way around this now, if you want to use these aftermarket scales, is you got to fill this with something. So a little dab of hot glue will do it. It's not going to be super tough, but it doesn't really need to be. It just needs to not walk in and out. So I'm going to go put a little dab of glue or something on this, seal it, and then slap this back together. Okay, I filled this with your standard government issued hot glue. And now I'm just going to take the utility razor blade because it's nice and flat, and I'm going to scrape it off a level with the scale. Okay, that's pretty level, so we've got rid of that hole. So I really wish he would redesign the file for this thing before he cuts any more and get rid of that hole. It's not supposed to be there, as you see. No hole. And it causes problems. It's apparently not causing problems on his knife for some reason. I don't know. Maybe my knife is just a freak and my pin is too short or something, but I don't think so. Because the scale, as you saw, the factory scale does not have that recess. So. Alright, let's put it back together again. It's slicker off the button than it was before. Off the button, shake it. Yeah. Noticeable improvement. I wouldn't say it's dramatic. I mean, 15% better, probably 20%. It is slicker, for sure. Whether that's worth your money, well, it doesn't really cost much, so I guess $10 or whatever for a 15% improvement in your action is not nothing. You pay a lot more than that to get a 15-20% better knife. So, is that worth it? Yeah, I'd say so. It's nice. So yeah, I'd say that was worth it. The bearings are nice. They fit perfectly. No problems with that. I just ran into that same problem I've been fighting since I modified this thing. That stupid pin and these aftermarket scales that have a pocket that they're not supposed to have. I'm a little bummed that this knife didn't fit. I haven't actually seen yet. I didn't stop the video and go look up or anything, but I'm pretty sure that spec sheet said these would fit, and they don't. That sucks. The way to do this foolproof is to take your knife apart before you order things and measure the holes in the bearings, measure the pin of the pivot, make sure you just measure it all. If you don't have a set of digital calipers and you're like balls deep in the knife hobby, you should really just pick up a digital caliper. You can get a cheap set on Amazon or something, 15, 20 bucks or something. And they're accurate enough for what we were doing. Yeah, I should have done that beforehand. That would have saved me a headache, but we live and we don't learn, right? Okay. Thanks for watching, guys. Hope that helped somebody. If it helped one or two people, it'll be worth the time. I'll catch you guys on the next one. Appreciate it. Bye.